The adventuring party, Silverwing, failed to defeat a cave dragon. Captain Vigo blames their cook Dennis for his skill Dread Voice scaring the dragon away, even though it was Vigo who told him to use it. Despite their both being level 99, Vigo looks down on Dennis for being a cook and pressures the other party members to kick Dennis out. Dennis willingly leaves, actually grateful they are no longer his problem. Vice Captain Katie chases after Dennis, begging him not to leave since she knows Dennis has been vital to their victories in his supporting roles as cook, alchemist, and healer, and without him, Silverwing are actually pretty useless. Dennis chooses to leave anyway, planning to open a restaurant. After obtaining a rundown shop, Dennis comes across a slave trader with a little girl, supposedly the only survivor of a ruined noble family. Dennis is compelled to buy her to save her from the merchant, Polvo, a known pervert. Traumatized from her past, the girl Atelier is surprised Dennis grants her freedom, but she decides to stay after trying his food. After a few weeks preparing, Dennis opens the Adventurer's Restaurant with Atelier as his waitress. Their first customer keeps their identity hidden behind a suit of armor.
The customer chooses the cheapest meal due to lack of money, so Dennis decides to just make a more expensive dish for free. The customer accidentally reveals she is a female adventurer named Henrietta. She explains, despite her skills, she was kicked from her all-male party just for being a woman and hopes to find work hiding her gender under male armor. Dennis asks around and finds a party of male adventurers willing to hire her. Later, Dennis hears a rumor an all-male party has been hiring female adventurers in order to take them into dungeons, rape them, and leave them to be killed by monsters. Henrietta is thrilled her new party values her skills with a sword, but after a full day of monster slaying, she is so tired she is easily paralyzed by the party mage, revealing their contempt for female warriors. Dennis furiously appears with twin meat cleavers with a paper bag hiding his face, thus knocking out the rapists. Henrietta awakens at the Adventurers Guild with no idea how she got there, but grateful the rapists have been found and arrested. She returns to Dennis's restaurant and learns he had mysteriously closed the restaurant for the last 2 days. Looking closely at Dennis, she realizes he somewhat resembles the paper bag man. Before she can ask about it, she is interrupted by another customer's arrival.
Henrietta decides to get rid of her male armor when Dennis tells her to be herself as an adventurer, while reminding her she needs to start paying for her meals. Adventurer Vivia Strange comes in, complaining local adventurers are too inferior to form a party with. Dennis realizes his last party probably kicked him out. Vivia eventually joins the Night Mist party for a job on the labyrinth's 5th floor. Dennis worries as Vivia is too weak for the 5th floor. He confronts 2 members of Night Mist who admit they left Vivia alone on the 5th floor as a cruel test to see if he can survive. In the labyrinth, Vivia runs from goblins, and his panic makes him forget all his spells. He is rescued by a young adventurer named Cynthia, whose party also abandoned her. Vivia realizes he has been an arrogant idiot and decides to help Cynthia escape. He draws the goblins to himself, but is saved by Dennis, who scolds his idiocy. Accompanied by Dennis, Vivia tries to retrieve Cynthia, but devastatingly finds only her skeleton in the hole where he was hiding. At the Adventurers Guild, Vivia learns Cynthia went missing 13 years ago when her party abandoned her in the labyrinth. Dennis explains lost adventurers' spirits sometimes appear to help others who become lost in labyrinths. With help from Dennis, Vivia makes a grave for Cynthia and buried her properly. Heartbroken and ashamed, Vivia promises to visit Cynthia's grave whenever he's free to become a great wizard and rescue others who get lost in labyrinths.
Night Mist member Bashel is overworked by her lazy party members. Hungry, she visits Dennis's restaurant, where the friendly atmosphere reminds her how miserable her life has become. Atelier hopes Dennis can help, but Dennis insists if Bichelle wants to be happy, it is better she do it herself. On a quest, Bichelle rescues a senior, but is blamed for embarrassing him. Depressed, Bichelle jumps from the clock tower to kill herself, but is saved by Henrietta and Vivia. Dennis meets Night Mist's leader Hopper and learns Bichelle was tricked into signing an employment contract, allowing Hopper to work her like a slave. Atelier admits to Bichelle she once considered suicide to escape slavery until she met Dennis. She also admits it is Bichelle's choice to die, but she hopes she chooses to live. Dennis and Hopper are interrupted by Katie, whom Hopper recognizes as the Silverwing's vice captain. When Katie blurts out Dennis is a former Silverwing member and almost her boyfriend, Hopper quickly burns Bichelle's contract and flees with his men, hoping to never see Dennis again. Henrietta and Vivia are astounded Dennis is on casual terms with someone as famous as Katie. Bichelle starts to recover and enjoys another of Dennis's meals.
Katie reveals Silverwings had begun failing quests since Dennis's departure. Dennis refuses to return, and Vigo also refuses to invite Dennis back. The restaurant becomes more popular, so Dennis hires Bachel as second waitress. Henrietta's food bill continues to increase, worrying her Dennis might stop feeding her until she can pay. Dennis shares with Viviane his fear Atelier has a secret boyfriend, as he recently saw her talking with a boy. Atelier leaves to go shopping, so Dennis drags Viviane with him to follow her. He sees Atelier meet the same boy, then go to a jeweler's. Dennis panics they might be buying wedding rings. Henrietta is upset that despite working constantly, she never has money spare to pay Dennis. She and Bachel learn Night Mist might be planning revenge on Dennis. Dennis is forced to stop following Atelier to chase a purse thief. He is eventually caught by Henrietta, who is relieved Dennis isn't planning to ban her from the restaurant. Atelier reveals the boy works at the jeweler's and helped her buy a bracelet for Dennis the same color as his eyes to thank him for everything. Dennis feels considerable relief there is no boyfriend. Meanwhile, Vigo is summoned by an important man.
Adelaide's family butler Stevens tracks her down, revealing she is daughter of the Workstat family, the greatest wizards in the kingdom. Adelaide's uncle Joseph stole her inheritance when her father, Lord Famus, died, so the Royal Court of Justice wishes to investigate whether she or Joseph is the rightful heir. At the Workstat mansion, they meet Adelaide's lawyer, Sestovich, who retrieves Adelaide's blood and uses a device to prove Adelaide is daughter of Famus and his wife Eliza. Vivia is surprised to learn Dennis' surname is Blacks. Unfortunately, at the tribunal, a second blood test proves Adelaide is daughter of Famus's unidentified mistress. As such, Joseph is awarded the family wealth, while Adelaide only receives Famus's book collection. Dennis is able to expose Stevens contaminated Eliza's blood, so Adelaide would appear not to be Eliza's daughter. Stevens admits Joseph bribed him and the magistrate to further discredit Adelaide. Dennis is furious but legally cannot do anything. Instead, they visit Famus's library where Sestovich discovers thousands of National Treasure-level books, collectively worth hundreds of times what Joseph inherited. Dennis is amused Famus probably meant for Adelaide to inherit the library the entire time, leaving Joseph with almost nothing in comparison. Adelaide decides to move the library to the restaurant, where anyone can read them. Vivia encounters Heath, an intense man with a similar face to Dennis.